Man, God, I don't know if that's real or not, but that fucking uh original design for Voldemort.
Oh
Did you
my
see?
god.
Oh my
Yes.
God, that shit is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea not to do that for essentially a children's
A
series.
children's movie, yeah. Well, it's
Right?
funny
Here
because a
you
lot of my
go.
friends were like, no, it's book accurate. It would have been great. And I'm like, guys, these movies are for children. Like,
Yeah,
Like,
you
yes, we
can't
can
do
all
that.
like
That's
them, but
scarring.
they were for children.
no. They like parents groups would have made them Sonic the Hedgehog that.
Instead, let's just take off a nose off of Ray Fiennes. Ugh, oh,
Right?
that's also not great. Ugh.
That's disturbing enough, yeah. Episode 260, episode 365 of the TV Dudes recorded December 29th, 2021. Best of 2021, Part 2. This week, we bring you our heavily negotiated TV Dudes Top 13. The TV Dudes sometimes have very different tastes, but we managed to cobble together an agreement on the best 13 TV shows of 2021, and we're going to lay them out for you this week in our last show of the year. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy,
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
and we're the TV Dude. And I almost rolled us back 100 episodes when I was prepping this. Gave the wrong number.
Time travel episode.
Ooh. I also love that it we have a top 13, which just feels really arbitrary and speaks to like some kind of story of this like hard-fought negotiation for these last and there wasn't. I don't know why we're at 13. We just are. It seemed like about the ones we could live with.
Yeah,
There
that's
was no,
that's.
there
I
was
mean,
like no back and forth on this. We just all went fuck it 13. Yeah, that seems
that's
right.
the whole
That's a
story.
thing,
I was
right?
like, I cut it to a top 10, and I wasn't happy because we were leaving out 3 shows we all agreed on. I'm like, that's dumb. Let's do a top 13.
I don't know if TV
Sure.
was really better if the rest of the world just like moved the bar, like the rising
I,
sewage tide lifts
I
all shows or
I
what.
do think this was a really good year for TV. Like I last year was good, but I think this year might be better.
I think shockingly, I've discovered the same thing. Even though a lot of the stuff I liked didn't have a season this year or was put off for like COVID reasons,
Yeah,
still a strong contendership. Gave some room for some new shit to shine too.
yeah. I mean, I think part of it was that there was a few new, really notable new shows. We'll get to that. There's as I looked down this list, there's a few like, oh, these were new this year and they were great.
Hmm.
But looking at next year, like we've got what uh Russian Doll coming back for another season.
Mhm.
That's
We've
right.
got
It's been a while since that one.
we've got Atlanta coming back for season 3, which is crazy. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I think is going to pop this year too.
I
So
believe they filmed 3 and 4 at the same time.
they did COVID stuff
So
backed
they're
everything
not
up.
gonna. So they're not like just in case. Let's just fucking shoot it. So I'm pretty sure we've got both seasons of Atlanta. There won't be like a 2 or 3 year delay.
That's great, and I'm excited to see it. Also, this is a weird in that Grant and Kyle were not part of our crew this year as much, so it's just the three of us. So that our taste changed a little bit just as a group. I think
In what
Hmm.
way? Name an specific example.
a lot
Give
less
me 10
British.
specific examples, Randy. All
there's
right, 13.
there's a lot
I'll allow you
a lot
13.
a lot less British. Is all I'm saying.
Let's. There's no like stop. Stop trying to make fetch a thing. Like we're not gonna put Grand Tour on there. Just stop it.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Grand Tour is not on this year's list anywhere.
Terriers. That's not this year's show, Randy. I watched it.
I'm not sure I did watch Terriers this year. I might have missed my yearly rewatch.
Still time.
But that does bring up the question of what did we watch this last week of the new year or the old year, and that takes us to our TV diary.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
I watched a bunch of movies this last week. We're going to talk about the Matrix Resurrections. I watched that. I watched Noel as my final sort of Christmas movie for the year. I watched Encanto just last night, and I watched Man on Fire, which is next in our Great Scott lineup. But I also did catch some TV. Les, you had mentioned that Trophy Wife was on Hulu, so I got like a half rewatch of that. I watched the first 5 episodes. I was watching with Megan, and I was really enjoying it. but Megan was somewhat horrified by the parenting in Trophy Wife, like all of it, because Marcia Gay Harden is like a sociopath, and Bradley Whitford is just not a very good dad, and and God, what's her name? The hippie mom. I love that actress.
Michaela Watkins.
Michaela Watkins is just a nightmare. Like
Oh yeah,
she tricks her kid into making jewelry for her, basically. Like guilts him
ends up
into it
running the
accidentally.
sweatshop. Like, yeah, oh yeah. They're all and like Malin Ackerman has the best intentions basically,
Yeah, but she is
but
not
knows
equipped to do
nothing.
this job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's Natalie Morales,
Nellie
who
Morales,
is
who
just
basically
like,
should not, you should never have her around children, ever. Not that
I
version of
love
that
when the
character.
kids make her like, you've got to get your boyfriend out of here. He's ruining our slumber party. Like
Yes.
like she brings her idiot boyfriend over, and
Yep.
like he's too much a child for the children.
It's funny, though. Natalie Morales was so good every minute of that show, and they never used her enough. And that is,
Mm-mm.
I feel like, the Natalie Morales story.
Yep, I think they couldn't figure out
Like,
how to separate her character from the actual children,
yeah.
and they just ditched her.
And they did the same. Like, that happens in Parks and Rec. Like, she was great there, and they didn't use her very much. And then she was gone. I mean, other than Middleman, I'm not sure she's ever been used super well.
Her memoir is going to be, I was actually in stuff.
I'm glad she's directing and shit now, because like, no, keep being in shit, and you put yourself in a position of power, because clearly people don't know what the fuck to do.
Yep. Keeping up with my sci-fi with Star Trek Discovery and The Expanse. Watched the episode 9 of the Great Slum Watch season, episode 10. Randomly watched the RoboCop episode of The Movies That Made Us, which was a lot of fun. It made me think that that was a nightmare set, and man, they did not enjoy making that movie.
With Paul Verhoeven? Sure.
Paul Verhoeven and Peter Weller apparently both were control freaks on opposite ends of the spectrum, and were driving each other and everyone else crazy.
If you were going to fuck me, tell me you were going to fuck me.
Yes. Oh my God.
Or them talking about watching Weller from like across a parking lot in Dallas, Texas, in the sweltering heat, and he's doing like, he's got a mime coach, and he's doing robot motions, and they're all standing back like, who here has the clout to be able to walk over to Peter Weller and ask if that's really what it's going to fucking look like? Because that's terrible.
And also, he wouldn't say the directives. They almost fired him because he wouldn't say the directives.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
He was making up his own weird shit. This is crazy.
Yeah.
He outright said, he's like, I'm not going to say those lines. Which is a weird line to draw, man. I don't know. He seems like a weird dude.
You're in a movie called RoboCop, dude.
Right.
I don't know what you were expecting.
I learned that Nancy Allen is fucking hot. Like, I knew that she was a, like an attractive actress, but man, she looks fantastic.
Yeah, when they were talking about like they didn't know if she could play tough enough or whatever, I think at the start, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Absolutely tough."
Yeah,
oh my God, no, that's not what she looked like outside of RoboCop. Shit.
Well, you put a police vest on her, and then like a bulletproof vest, and suddenly she's bulky as like. I guess that just has that look of everyone that in that movie,
like Sally Field's Steel Magnolia's like bulletproof hair going, and like all of it. It was very 80s mom.
But yeah, she looked totally different, and she looked like a badass in that movie. It never occurred to me that she's like, oh, she's too soft for this. I would never have thought that.
Yeah.
I also watched the first episode of Book of Boba Fett, which I thought was really good. And I kept up. It's Always Sunny season 15 dropped, and I watched the latest episode of that, and I've been enjoying that so much that I went and binged all 10 episodes of season 14, which was great. And man, I've now watched all of Always Sunny, and I kind of went back and spot watched like the Christmas episode, and I forgot how much I love that show. It's one of these things that, man, it's 15 seasons, but I may rewatch at some point. Also, there's one episode of season 14 I didn't see because it's gone because it had blackface in it. They took like 4 episodes out of the rotation entirely, and that episode isn't even on like DVD sets. Like, it's impossible to find.
I can't believe Always Sunny has their own Song of the South.
Yeah, no, they've got 4 of them.
Wow.
It's like the Lethal Weapon, one of the Lethal Weapon episodes, sadly, is not streamable because they were doing a riff on blackface, and it's one of those things where I'm like, guys, I get what you're doing, but you knew at the time, like, this wasn't what an unfortunate mistake that we did blackface. No, you were making fun of blackface by doing it.
Similar deal in Community. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to say you shouldn't have, that's one thing, but that's weird. It's a weird call. And Community is the same way. Like, it was a joke on doing blackface.
Like in the episode, they they debate whether to throw him out of the room for
Yeah.
being in dark elf body
Yes.
makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But that episode's not on Hulu anymore.
So yeah, so I can't do a full rewatch of Always Sunny, but I can watch
You
a
tell me
bunch
the
of it,
D&D
and I
episode
may.
is no longer available?
It's only I have the DVDs, so I've got it, but it's not streaming.
That's tragic.
It is because it's one of the great episodes.
Yeah.
Or maybe did they maybe cut the joke out? No, I think it's not streaming. I think the thing's streaming.
That's one of the best ones.
It is. It's a super highlight for the community. And it's
That's up there with paintball and fucking Abed's Christmas.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, that's my TV diary. Les, what do you got?
Well, I was with family most of the week and watched a lot of just background sitcom stuff. So Hulu has a pretty great feature this time that's just called Holidays, kind of up in the categories at the top, and it's fucking everything. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a catch-all for their Halloween, Thanksgiving, all of it. But they basically had holiday episodes pulled out of every show they've got on Hulu. So we watched through a bunch of Modern Family's big on Christmas episodes.
Yeah.
We watched a bunch of their Christmas episodes, a bunch of Goldberg Christmas episodes, Bob's Burgers, and then I ended up going on just a Goldberg's tear because there's like 20 jillion episodes per season of that sitcom, and it's great background noise. That sounds shittier than it should. It's a really funny sitcom, but it is not anything you've got to like sit down and take notes to follow. Then I watched Matrix when it came out. That's probably the only really new thing I watched. And we'll discuss it on the Patreon, I think.
You know, one of my gripes about the Hulu playlist, and maybe I've just been doing it wrong. When you click on the holiday episode, it then moves on to like the next episode in that series, right?
You
like
and
it
I
should
have
be
the
a
same issue with it.
playlist.
Absolutely. So
I don't
yeah,
think any
because
streaming service has done that yet, where you can make
Yeah.
your own playlist of just holiday episodes.
yeah, and you would
Yeah.
think that I kept falling for it because like if you don't pay attention to the credits rolling and the near seamless like startup of the next episode, sometimes you'd be into a normal episode and realize
Yeah.
like, oh, this is your first this is your November 7th episode or whatever, or your January 34th, but New Year's episode suddenly. And yeah, to me, it should just play into the next Christmas episode.
Yeah, I
Get
don't know
together.
why they don't do that.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I did not yet watch the new season of Letterkenny, but I cannot wait.
Me neither. It's been taunting me from my queue, and I'm like,
Yep.
no, I want to have the time to sit and focus on this.
Well, and I have to save it. Fanny and I watched that together, and I wasn't going to subject my mom to like Letterkenny out of the blue.
Don't worry about it. Season 11. It may not make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to make any sense regardless, just linguistically. But yeah, so also watched. Okay, there are 6 Home Alone movies, just to be clear.
That's 4 more than there should be.
Absolutely. 3 of
Wait,
them.
so there's Home Alone 3. I know that one has ScarJo in it, and then
yes,
there's the
that's
Home
the one.
Alone 4,
and I watched that one. Home
where
Alone 4.
they get one of the robbers back, but not the same actor.
No, it's French Stewart from Third Rock from the Sun, and he's playing Harry, but he dresses and acts like he's Marv.
And then there's the new
what?
kind of sort of reboot of it. What's the 6th one?
There's so there's the one with French Stewart as did y'all watch the previous movie or just have someone tell you about it? Characterization of the robbers, and in that one it's actually Kevin McAllister again, but the entire cast is new. And the dad's divorced from Catherine Hahn and remarried to, I think, Missy Pyle. And like the whole thing is gadgetry and they're in her. She's like a millionaire.
Wait.
Fucking terrible. The third one with the different kid is actually pretty fun and watchable and has the most believable reason he's home alone. He has chickenpox and everybody else is at school or work.
Are you telling me the dad divorced the mom and married someone else who also lost his kid?
No, I think he ends up in the house and I couldn't make it that far into it. It's fucking terrible. Then there's a middle one. So like the third one with a different kid with chickenpox is actually not bad. I mean, it's goofy Disney.
It's a better
slapstick
sequel than the
fare.
second one.
Yeah. John Hughes straight up wrote it. I mean, it is genuinely a John Hughes script, and it's like it took him 3 movies, but they finally come up with like that actually works as to why that kid is home alone and won't call the cops. You've cracked it, Hughes. Now move on.
Yeah, the ScarJo, that was back in her 8-legged freak days.
Oh, this is even before that. She's so
Mhm.
young in this. It's crazy. And she's barely in it. Like, I mean, obviously all the siblings are elsewhere. Like everybody's else at school or whatever. So like she's only in the like start and end of it. And you're like, who is that little kid actor? Oh my God, that's Scarlett Johansson.
And he also has a sister who looks like maybe she'd sacrifice herself on Vormir. What was that? What? I don't know. It sounded like you said something. I didn't. Okay.
And so then there's one after that that's like a TV movie where the kid thinks the house they're moved into is haunted and sets up traps to catch the ghosts, but they're actually real burglars.
What?
Shouldn't even be a Home Alone movie. It's unwatchable. And then there's the new like Home Sweet Home Alone with the British kid and which is in the same universe as the McAllisters. Anyway, there's a lot going on. Talking about
the Home Alone expanded cinematic universe.
Nick and I were talking the other day about like the fun of stumbling into like 5 or 6 deep sequel franchises you didn't know were franchises. Like Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong, which are both like 6 deep in sequels and have crossed over and fought each other. It's like finding out about wrestling when you've never known about it.
My favorite is like Puppet Master and then Evil Dolls, or what is it?
Dangerous
Dollmaker?
Toys. Dangerous Toys.
Dangerous Toys. And they both have their own series, and then they cross over the two like evil toy movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. I know I think I talked about watching Princess Switch 1 and 2, and I watched at least part of 3, but I finished watching Princess Switch 3, Romancing the Star, which is as good as the other 2. That's about it. Oh, I watched Office Christmas Party, which makes me sad once again that TJ Miller is a fuckwit asshole.
Yeah.
Because that movie's really funny. and occasionally in it I just have to like stop and think like, oh yeah, but you're a bastard to work with. Yeah. Fuck.
Oh man, and Olivia Munn was in that movie too. She cannot catch a break.
No, she kills it as usual. She absolutely kills it. And Jennifer Aniston's fucking hilarious, and Jason Bateman is as good as he usually is. Like it is a really funny.
She needs to work with like
of comedians.
Tom Hanks or someone unbelievably nice. Like Keanu Reeves maybe.
Lisa and I watched Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas as our final Christmas movie of the year, which is one of the funnier of the Harold and Kumar set. But anything that's 3D doesn't age well. The like yo-yo jokes into the camera and shit just always scream shit 3D movie, and it will forever. I don't know why anybody does it. That's it.
What about you, Nick?
I rewatched Hawkeye actually for Christmas.
Oh, that's perfect. I wanted to, and I didn't have the time for it.
Yeah, and then I watched Matrix like the rest of you. What was it? Are we doing that for Patreon or are we not?
We are. We're gonna do it for Patreon.
Okay, then I won't tell you how stupid I think it is.
Oh no, we will on Patreon. Oh, thank God.
I watched The Hunt again with my brother. He'd never seen it, so I watched it with him, and he was blown away by it because he had no idea. Like, okay, who's the main character in this? Everyone keeps dying. Like he was frustrated the first 10 minutes.
See, I love that kind of thing.
And if you didn't see the posters or anything when it was originally in theaters, you don't necessarily know. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he loved it by the end of it though. That final fight is one of the greatest final fights of like any action movie, I think. As far as like, are we gonna listen to Beethoven or are we gonna get at it? Let's do this. I watched Don't Look Up. The what's his name? It's a new movie.
Speaking of Scarlett, or no, is that Jennifer Lawrence and
Jennifer Lawrence
and Leonardo DiCaprio? Yeah,
Adam McKay's new movie. I have learned that I hate Adam McKay, so I did not watch that movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I maybe it's too close or something. Maybe if I went back and watched Idiocracy right now, it would not be funny as it was when I first watched it, because this is like Dr. Strangelove meets Idiocracy.
Yeah.
And it's just depressing. Everything that's supposed to be funny is like, yeah, except that basically almost all of this is actually how it would happen, and that's depressing as shit. Yeah, I know that the president's like nihilistic son or whatever would not do that right. That's not really funny to me because I lived through it.
Yeah, like really recent.
And I only laughed then because I had to laugh and when I didn't have to cry, like to get through a day. Like I don't need to be reminded of that, especially when we're threatened with another Trump administration like a couple years from now. Maybe I'm just not in the right mindset, but yeah, that movie was not a pleasurable experience. I watched A Very Muppet Christmas, which was another Muppet movie I guess we missed on the docket because it is hard to find anywhere, and I found it in a DVD bin, and it is Joan Cusack tries to buy up the Muppet Theater. I guess since Scooter's uncle no longer owns the theater anymore, or maybe he died and this is his aunt. Except no, that doesn't make sense. She's not a Muppet. This was fucking weird. Like this was weird on like it was some sort of NBC special, so they keep like crossing like there's this whole Scrubs segment where Piggy is a new actor on Scrubs and she's playing a dead body but will not shut up.
I have to see this.
All the Scrubs actors are like, God, please take this bitch away from us. Yes, Kermit, get her away from us. We don't want to do this anymore. And yeah, they get halfway through a movie and then they do It's a Wonderful Life. At the halfway point, I'm like, why is there a whole nother movie here? But the real strange part is that in the beginning, it starts like in medias res and has bunch of people in this white room with white coats on, and it's like, and they're just monitoring Earth, and I'm like, is this heaven? What's happening here? And then what's his name from the Scream movies? God damn it.
David Arquette and Matthew Lillard are in this.
Yes.
And William H. Macy and Whoopi
Yes.
Goldberg
Wow.
and Carson Daly.
Yes, and yes.
Molly Shannon, Mel Brooks.
So, David Arquette is a guardian angel, I guess, but he's more of an accountant. That's not his thing. So he's watching the what's happening to Kermit and the gang, and he's feeling all sad about it. So he takes it to the boss upstairs, and fucking, it's Whoopi Goldberg in this Garden of Eden, and they start to like just not be subtle about it anymore. Like, oh wait, she's God. Why is God messing with the Muppet Christmas special? What is happening? And then so God and this heaven accountant start watching the Muppet Very Christmas special and kind of just interrupt it every once in a while. Like, okay, are we going to get to the thing yet? Like, yeah, no, it's coming. Don't worry about it. I don't, I watched it with my family and they were like, what's happening? What is happening here? And I was the only one watching it by the end of it. People kept getting peeled off and like went to go do other stuff because like, I don't know, I can't follow this. I don't know what's happening anymore. And I was the only one that watched it all the way through. And it is something else.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to have to watch that. That looks insane.
Oh, it's absolutely insane. I have no idea what's going on in it. Yeah, what was it? I watched the movie The Pack, which is a wild dog in Australia movie. MST3K's The Christmas That Almost Wasn't. Kevin Can Fuck Himself. I watched the first couple episodes of that.
I need to finish that.
I can only say what I'm sure everyone has already said before me multiple times, which is that there's too much of an actual sitcom in this.
I hate every minute of that actual sitcom. I hate every minute of it.
And it's excruciating, and it doesn't need to be half the show.
No.
It's legitimately 50-50.
Yeah, no, and it shouldn't be.
And it should not be. That should be 10% of the show just to remind me what an awful sitcom her life is.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, it's necessary, because you gotta get it in there for the premise to even work. But
I'm not
too
sure
much.
it's that necessary. I feel like their balance is off. Someone working on that show thinks that part is interesting.
Or thinking that they're making a good
half and half.
sitcom or something, or that it's worth watching, and it's like, no, all this fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's not Law and Order. Like we don't need like half with the apprehending the offenders and then half with the prosecuting. Like,
yeah,
like no, you can give me like 10% of a cop going stop running and then the court case. That's it.
Yeah, I watched all of Letterkenny in the new season, which was very good. It seems like in these later seasons, there's always one episode that I don't dig for whatever reason. In
Oh,
the last
the
season, there
kid.
was what was it? The conference, like they spoke to the kids during an assembly hall thing, and I was like, oh, this is way too much like assembly halls I sat through in high school, and this sucks. And they have the last episode is actually the one I don't like because they all get hammered and try and get people to come pick stones with them, but they're all so fucking drunk that they find it hilarious to call everyone by a slightly different name. I don't know how it starts. Like Wayne gets a wrong piece of mail and is called Dwayne, and then suddenly everybody gets like 7 or 8 different names that are kind of like their name, and it's this running joke that is like, "Oh my god, yeah, you're the drunk guy I hate hanging out with." That you think this is funny. Wow, like, it's a weird miss for Letterkenny when they do this, but this was annoying as shit. Like it's like the fart episode all over again. I'm like, I hate this. Why is this here? Why are all my favorite characters the worst in this episode? And having it be the last episode was a real gut punch at the end. I'm like, wow, that sucked. I'd rather would not have just watched that episode and just ended the episode early. Especially since it has nothing to do with the actual plot as far as Wayne's relationship with what's her face, the French chick, and
Marie
Tanis and Riley and Jonesy and anything like that. Nothing of that really gets that much resolved, I don't think. Also, I think there was a weird joke where it's funny because they have the women on there are bi sometimes, but none of the main dudes ever want to be. There's this whole joke about where they go and get a what's it, a fucking
Uh,
proctology exam, like
yeah,
a
get their prostate examined.
prostate examined, and they have this joke of like this, like, oh, I don't know, and they even say like, will my heterosexuality be intact by the end of it? I'm like, what is this? This isn't what you usually do.
That's super weird, especially when we know Squirrely Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Squirrely Dan isn't there. Like
Oh,
Squirrely Dan is
okay.
the only one that isn't there, and I think that's why they do it. It's Tyson and Derry and Wayne and a bunch of other people, but the payoff for that joke is actually pretty good. Like sticking around for the end of that joke when the women come in there and ask them what they're so afraid of, the payoff of that is actually really funny. So it's not a total loss like the drunk stone picking episode is. But what else did I watch? Oh, Death to 2022. I actually watched that. Which
Oh, I mean, 2021.
2021,
Well,
right?
No, I mean,
it's too
whatever.
early. I mean,
Right.
it's fair. It'd be fair,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. I was gonna try.
They didn't get
catch
Sam
that.
Jackson back, but they have Lucy Liu this year as a
Okay.
Cool
reporter,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. Yeah, I I really like that. Of course, Hugh Grant is back as the historian that just keeps getting shit wrong.
Nice.
Oh man, did you guys see the new trailer for Guy Ritchie's like action movie that's got
Oh
Hugh
yes,
Grant
the
playing Billy?
unbearable.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's
no,
Nick Cage.
no, that's Nick Cage. What is the?
No, I'm talking
It's the
about
Guy Ritchie movie with the exact same plot line with
Yes, that's why Nick brought it up to me because we were just like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Guy Ritchie's doing almost this exact movie, but
with
not
Jason
Nick Cage in
Statham
there.
and what's his name from Hollywood Homicide.
yes,
Yeah,
and Aubrey
Josh
Plaza.
Hartnett.
Man, it looks so much fun to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, Hugh Grant has found has found a new gear for his career. I think since doing that movie with Guy Ritchie doing
Weirdly,
The Gentleman.
I
And
don't
I
think
love it. I
Ritchie's
love every
listed
bit
as
of
the
it.
writer of this one. I think he's just
he
directing
not?
it, which is always
Oh,
odd.
wow.
But it looks
Yeah.
so Guy Ritchie.
It looks
So maybe
it
it's like
absolutely
his
does.
new Matthew Vaughn, 80 or something. Like maybe he's got a partner that's got his voice down pretty well. Yeah, I'm really liking Hugh Grant's new gear here. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And I'm wrong. He is listed as the writer, as a writer on that. Never mind.
What else, Nick? Anything else on the list?
That's it. My TV Dude's Diary is done.
All right. In that case, this seems like a good place to remind you that you can support us in 2021 and in the new year by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us a fucking episode. That allows us to keep up with our various streaming services. There are a lot of them. Pay for our hosting costs. And you get some bonus content each week. This week, we are going to pause our Tony Scott Marathon and talk about The Matrix Resurrections. We also have our $20 shorter level, so if your shows you want to throw in rotation, you can buy it at that level. Give us some extra ideas. We have a few coming up next year, but we have room for a couple patrons at that level. You can throw $20, drop out of that level after once, and throw us an idea. All right. It is time for the TV Dudes top 13. Why top 13? Because we're going to start in the traditional fashion at the bottom, move our way to the top. I have a feeling anybody who's been watching TV and listening to us probably knows what the number one is, but we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm.
You're going to be the fun of these lists is always, I think, when you're listening, you're like, well, where's this going to be? And then when that show shows up, like, oh, well, what's the number one if that's not number one? So I think that's part of my fun when I'm listening to these things. Let's
Mhm.
start with number 13. It is a Netflix show, and that is Shadow and Bone.
Now,
Yeah.
this was a surprise for me
Yeah.
because I liked it and it made my list, but I was surprised it made your guys' list too.
Well, it did not make my top 20,
Mhm.
but
It did on mine.
you guys, it made both of yours, and I liked it enough to totally put it on here because I think my issue with it is I really loved everything with the heist crew basically,
Mhm.
but the central YA story of the girl and the Dark Prince and all that stuff that left me a little bit cold, and so I loved half of it and I liked the rest
Sure.
I feel like we've been in a 5-year span where television has tried its damnedest to prove to me that I don't like fantasy.
of it.
Between Game of Time and Wheel of Thrones and whatever the shit they're gonna do
Yeah,
with
they
Lord of the Rings
canceled
next.
that Game of Thrones prequel, even though they had a bunch of shit actually shot, I think.
No,
Yeah,
they didn't. Did they really?
Yeah, I
fire,
think so.
I don't know.
The dragon
But
thing. They just put a trailer out for it.
Oh, did
there's
they?
been
I don't know.
so
It's coming
so
out this
much
year.
fantasy has left me cold these last few years that I think Shadow and Bone really surprised me by being something I hadn't really heard much of and found myself really enjoying. The weird Sherlock Holmes, the Carnival Row left me cold. Like there's been a lot in the last few years, and so this one,
I think you mean the Irregulars.
that's the
Called
one.
the Irregulars. Nick, what did you think of the Irregulars? Did you watch all 13 episodes of the Irregulars?
I'm the only person that did.
On the planet, on
Totally.
the actual planet.
I'm an irregular expert, basically.
No one watched the dailies for the last one. Yeah.
When the president needs a person on the Irregulars team, they fly me there. Because I'm the only one on Earth with the level of knowledge that they need.
Sorry, I had to interrupt you, Les.
So yeah,
further.
Shadow and Bone kind of showed me that, like, oh shit, yeah, this can be done exciting. There's just something about the pacing of these other ones I don't care for.
Yeah, I think the Russian element, the fake Russia element, really added to it. The costuming was great.
The weird, oops, we fucked up and tore a giant dark void in the center of the world was both hilarious and also kind of new to me. I don't think I'd seen quite that in anything.
Sure, it's like magical nuclear fallout and
they don't not have a way to cross it. I really dug it. Like crossing it's just crazy dangerous. Like I enjoyed a lot of the mechanics of the world and where we were in the revolution of changing the world.
Also, after watching Wheel of Time the week before, I think maybe Shadow and Bone wouldn't have made my list if I hadn't been reminded of it when I watched Wheel of Time of like, oh right, I did like one of these this year.
Yeah, I get that.
Because it seems like all of these are trying to do like, okay, we're gonna do fantasy. I'll tell you what, guys, we're gonna be revolutionary. We're gonna take it seriously. Okay, it hasn't worked for the last 7 years, I feel like, but whatever. Oh yeah, and the HBO cancels Game of Thrones prequel after spending $30 million on pilot. Yep, it's done.
Oh my god, really? Man, they're still promoting that shit.
Wow.
maybe it's one of them. I remember they had a bunch of prequels planned.
Well, is the House of Dragon or whatever? Wow.
I'm gonna laugh. If in 5 years there's like a Game of Thrones video game with some crazy fucking cutscenes, I'm gonna laugh.
It's the one starring Naomi Watts, I guess.
Okay, so this is something else, I think.
I mean, at one point they'd announced like 5 side quels.
Yeah, Game of Thrones House of the Dragon is coming. That they're promoting, and that
so this
happened.
is a different thing. Okay.
It's one of the other 2 I think that they had planned. When they thought this was going to be their cash cow.
Before they ruined the show.
Which I'm surprised HBO greenlit prequels for this, because I feel like they kind of knew that the ending was going to be bad.
Yeah.
Because they really separated themselves that last season of like, we asked them to make more. We did not make them end this. We want to make that completely clear. Why are you so specific about that? No reason. We just want to make sure that you know it wasn't our idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Shadow and Bone was a lovely surprise this year, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it made our final list.
All right, let's jump over to number 12, another Netflix show, and that is season 3 of Sex Education.
This show started ridiculous. I mean,
Yep.
like the premise, it should, and I feel like in a lesser show would absolutely not work. Like it would just go off the rails and be the most unbelievable high school
Yeah,
ever.
it could. Yeah.
Well, also, like, when is it?
Yeah, like when and where, like there's
Yeah.
so much, and I flat in the first season didn't notice any of it, didn't care. Show is fucking
Yeah.
amazing, and I loved
Yep.
every second of it.
Where are they that everyone is in walking distance of this school?
Yeah, and everybody could just cruise up there, and like letter jackets, but they're in English. Yeah, it's all fucking strange, and just the like that they become the sex school. Like this should have collapsed under its own craziness.
Yes.
And
But it's
season
great.
3 is just like when I watched the final one of season 2 and then tore into season 3 and was reminded of like how fucking crazy that play was, and then the
Oh my
fallout
God.
from it, and
Yeah.
like the actress from Girls that comes in is the like, and the kids don't quite realize that she's the villain for
Yeah.
about half of it.
Yep.
I really I've loved this show the whole time, but it's one of the only still going shows that I was absolutely cool with it making the list of like I'm sure I'm not going on the way to the previous seasons. I loved season 3.
Yeah, because there's so many stories going. Like the central story of the sex revolution against the principal is interesting and fun, but really the story of Jean and her boyfriend, and she's having a baby, and what that means for her son and his ex-girlfriend, who is now going to be his sister. Like, there's some weird shit going on in that too. That's all interesting and
Well,
fun.
why is she the worst?
Jean, I love Jean. It's only here's the thing: Gillian Anderson this year played two thoroughly unlikable characters in a way that made them both likable to me, and that's Gillian Anderson talent.
Oh, sure, I still like her, but
Was
like
she also
every
Thatcher?
What's that?
She was also Thatcher though, right? Was she?
Oh, three. She played three unlikable characters this year.
Because I was thinking, like, do you mean from The Great or from Thatcher or from?
God, I meant from The Great, but you're right. She also played Margaret Thatcher. Oh man.
Yeah,
in Sex Education, it's like every time she makes a decision regarding one of her relationships, she makes the worst possible decision she could possibly do.
and like she's a pro at this.
Should I tell this guy that I'm having his kid? Nah, I'll let him find out about it eventually.
But it's also the irony narrative that people love to do, and most people don't do well, but Sex Education does, which is she's a relationship and sex expert, but she's terrible at relationships.
Yeah, she cannot apply it to herself.
What is the end game there? You feel like he's never gonna figure it out, or what?
Right? Yeah.
Also, is it Adam? Yeah, Adam and Eric. Like the story of Adam and his starting out as a bully and sort of coming into his own. One of these things that's a hard sell for me too. Like if you start out with a guy who's that much of a bully, usually I don't give a shit what his redemption arc looks like. But they made him such a likable character, and his dad's such a dick that I'm like, man, I get where this kid had to struggle.
By the time they brought me up to his dad's brother, though, and I was like, God damn it, is this show going to manage to make me actually feel a little bit bad for his dad? Yep.
And it did. It did.
Like, I was ready to applaud when his dad finally got his moment.
Yeah. How far are we going to go into this? Is there a second cousin that's just Hitler?
Right? But you like it by the end, though.
Yeah, it's fantastic writing. It's also very funny, and they're very, very free with the sex. Like they're doing high school kids having sex, and they're also like doing it in a way where I'm like, yeah, no, that feels like high school kids having sex, but
sure.
not in a gross way.
No.
Well, maybe some of them, but they're figuring it out. They're exploring.
Consensually gross, though. Oh, one thing this season, the cat.
The cat?
There's a cat that dies in the third season.
Oh my God! Yes.
And it is outside of the pale, like it's beyond the pale for anything on the show. Like it's a weird choice. It's a lot of gore, and it's like I had a moment of like, what the fuck, sex ed?
Yeah.
Like warn somebody.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird call. I guess when you feel like you can push your boundaries, at some point you're going to push them too far, and that might have been the one.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later on the list, but there was a notable dog death in a season this year as well.
Yeah, I had same thought. We'll get to it. Let's jump over to number 11. That is Star Trek Lower Decks. This did not make my list of top 20, but only because there was so much else on it. This is a really good show, and the second season I thought was a step up from season one.
I'm continually impressed by the show because I'm not really a big Trek fan. I don't like Discovery. I'm not really up on the original. The only reason I really have any fondness for TNG is because it was on when I was a kid. That was the one that was on. That's pretty much the only reason. And this one has the spirit of it. All of this doesn't make any goddamn sense. We're trying to do the best we can in this fucking universe, but we're I love that no matter what we're doing in any Star Wars unit, whatever time period it is, we're always just crawling around Jeffrey's troop trying to make shit work.
Yeah. This show, I'm with Nate. I'm not a huge Trek fan. The show makes me want to go find out more about Trek, which very few Trek things have ever made me want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't expect to like season 1, and I really did, and then I felt like season 2 was stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think it's interesting is that for all that y'all are
Was
not
it
big
two?
Trek fans,
Yeah.
and I'm not a huge Trek fan either, the big Trek fans seem to also really love this. Like they pulled off a really impressive trick where it's like if you're a non-Trek fan or a Trek fan, you like this
Well,
for different reasons.
they pull this dance of making fun of it, but also like they get this, isn't this universe awesome? Like all the characters are super jazzed to be in a fucking starship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tendy's first day is a horror show, and all she is excited because she got to hold a human heart. Oh, that was a big deal for me. That was pretty cool. And then with Riker and Donna Troy on the Titan, they show some older characters that are like, oh yeah, look at how badass these guys are, and they're like, and you see them a little later in their lives that you haven't seen before, and that's good for the old fans, I think. But yeah, their balancing act here is really working.
Okay, let's go on to top 10. Number 10. This is where people normally would start, but we're the TV dudes. We're gonna do things that way. Midnight Mass over on Netflix. This is the Mike Flanagan show for the year. Apparently, every year we get a Mike Flanagan show, and I'm not complaining about that.
Sure. This is the only one on the list that I'm like, why is this here?
Really interesting. I loved this show.
I liked it. I feel like there's nothing very significantly. It's like I feel like it's one of those things of like I know you're trying to say something, but I don't know if what you're trying to say is what's going on here.
I thought the moment to moment stuff in this was sort of a highlight of television writing of the year. There's stuff that here that could easily be self indulgent, like the big conversation of what the afterlife is. That I thought.
Oh, that was the word I was looking for. Is I did feel it was self indulgent.
Yeah.
See, and I don't think it does. I don't think it does feel self indulgent. But also, I like Mike Flanagan a lot. I felt like they hit that balance right. I also thought that even though we could spot what was coming, watching the characters react to it and the sort of slow burn horror, which is what Flanagan does so well, was done really well here. It's not like what he did in Haunting of Hill House, where it's like creeps you out a little bit. This is more of that. Oh shit! I don't want to watch what's going to happen to this person because man, this is bad.
That's the sort of thing of like I like Haunting in Hill House too, but there's this weird thing that frustrates me where it's like, oh my god, it's a monster. You know, that reminds me of this time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
These characters take time out to do character development during monster sieges and ghost hauntings, and it's like, wait, what are you talking about? You just saw a fucking ghost, or you just saw a fucking vampire. Why are you talking about this thing right now?
Probably is why this is on my list and not on yours. Is that I am not the world's biggest horror fan. Like, you've got to really sell. Like, I watched a bunch of horror at Halloween times, but I am not a big fan of the genre. And Mike Flanagan managed to do horror in a way like this is the kind of horror that I like to watch, where it's basically horror plus character-driven stuff and plot-driven stuff. And I feel like horror doesn't do this very well. And so what Mike Flanagan is doing, his particular flavor of horror, which is like a literary type horror, works for me. And I feel like Midnight Mass did that. Like I cared about all these characters beyond their interactions with a monster.
Yeah, I also felt like the ending had to really coincidence its way up to like because these people are fucked. There's no way they can beat these vampires. So the vampires have to defeat themselves by setting the whole fucking place on fire.
Yeah.
And if the heroes had not, if it was just the heroes, they would not have won. Like it didn't really matter what they did, other than burning down that last building.
Yeah, a lot of stuff didn't make my list that I thought was going to make my year-end list because I realized that as much as I love the first few episodes, I didn't finish it out. And this Midnight Mass was a long. I mean, it's got to be 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours of show, right?
Yeah,
That I
yeah,
tore through in a weekend. And
yeah.
I partly enjoyed the joke of them never fucking saying vampire ever.
Yes, yeah.
And for the couple of moments, like the one scene about the afterlife was enough conversation for me and crossed into self-indulgent. And then they did the whole thing a second time at the end,
Yeah,
and that was a
they
little
literally
much.
have that
Yeah.
same fucking conversation again.
Like a whole, and that was too much for me. But they did it while stabbing through the bat wings, which was a super cool moment, and shooting the woman in the chest, and like that's only going to delay me 5 minutes. Blam, we
We
have
got
5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
There were
that was rad.
So the show gave me a lot of moments like and reminded me of how much I love Mike Flanagan when and to get that every once in a while, I'm going to get that Tarantino
Oh,
moment.
also the special effects and cinematography are all fucking fantastic. Every vampire movie should do that eye thing now. Whatever they're doing with their eyes, they should definitely do it because that looked
the
awesome.
dog glint, that shit was perfect. Yeah, there's a lot. So there's so much I loved about this, and I tore through it. So so when I heard Randy mention it about his list, I was like, fuck yeah, no, that actually, I could say I like the first 3 episodes of some other stuff more, but I finished Midnight Mass fast.
Yeah.
It's just Mike Flanagan. I think he does that thing
Not as
like
fast as you watched the regulars, but
it helps when you sleep through some of it.
set it to 1.5.
Come on, Mr. Holmes, we have the crime to solve.
There's no Mike Flanagan thing where I don't like, God, I wish you didn't do this part that's really making me mad right now, as far as a huge dialogue spot of these characters stating exactly how they're feeling or something.
It's funny, the things that drive you crazy are part of what I love about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to number 9, and that is Mythic Quest over on Apple Plus. I was reminded how much I like the Always Sunny team in watching Always Sunny, and Mythic Quest is like a more mature version of what they do. Like there's less yelling, a little less improv, I feel like, and a little more heart than Always Sunny ever had.
Yeah, these characters actually can like each other, and there's moments of growth and stuff like that. Like it's an actual story.
Yeah.
Rather than just people being unbelievably horrible to one another.
Yeah.
And I feel like this one, as far as comedies, kind of like a situational comedy sort of thing, I think this one is like my new Community as far as what they're doing with the team and how they balance everything. I feel like everything is like, even their I feel like their Chang is their HR person that just comes in every once in a while, and she's even a better Chang. She never gets old.
Yeah.
Yeah, her spidey sense of just feeling when someone's having sex in the building.
Well, and their Abed is a sociopath.
Yes.
Oh right, yeah. Danny Pudi as
Danny Pudi is so good in this.
He's such a bastard.
His fucking crazy brother. Yeah.
His brother this year, it was great. And Joe being his assistant this year, it was like, wow, this is all good decisions. This was all good stuff to do.
And then we got that standalone about CW, which I thought was not as good as last year's standalone flashback to the Dark Quiet Death, which was a fantastic standalone.
Yeah.
What could be? That was unbelievable.
But it was really good. Yeah, it was really good. So no, this was I wasn't sure what they were going to do with season 2, but and now I don't know what they're going to do with season 3 because I'm like, wait a minute, are they going to do still Mythic Quest? Like, are we going to follow the new company? Are we going to see what's happening? I have no idea, but I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to split the focus or follow the. Yeah, no idea.
I think this gets overshadowed by Apple Plus's big show, but it's definitely a reason to have Apple Plus. Moving on, number 8, Inside Job, also on Netflix. This is the one that I would not put anywhere on my list.
Wow, this one got high up there.
Yeah, it did. That's because of you two.
Yeah, I put it at, I can't remember what place it did. I know I put it high up because I really liked it.
Yeah, same. I think it made my number 4, so it was really high up on my list.
For me, it was like first discovering Simpsons or Family Guy again, as far as this is what I want Don't Look Up to be. Funny. Like, I can look at this crazy shit and go, yes, this is ridiculous, this is fun, not a horror show of reality that I have to face every fucking day.
Yeah. This show pulled a trick off that I just didn't think anybody could do anymore. conspiracy theories have been utterly ruined by the last 10 years of reality for me.
Yeah.
Like there's just nothing funny about any of them. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is. Like flat earthers have ruined it all. Like there's no dumb story that I thought I could hear and laugh at.
Which is why I think that's funny is that the one conspiracy theory in the show that isn't true is the flat earther thing.
Yes. And he started it to troll another deep state. Yeah. This show was, I didn't hear, I mean, Netflix sneaks them on to the platform a lot. So I didn't really know anything about this. I flipped it on. I watched the first episode and went, hey, Lisa, you want to watch another one? Yeah, I'll watch another. We watched all of them, like straight through. I think about halfway through, I was like, this is very Gravity Falls-ish. Lisa pulled him and like, no, this is by the person that did Gravity Falls. Like,
that guy.
Fuck yeah, this is great. Like, I want there to be another season of it. This shit just keeps piling on. It's like an Illuminatus sitcom.
I just want to yell random lines out of context to people, like, fuck you, 80s owl. Global warming will take care of you.
Yeah, all the characters were funny too. This is really, in a way that American Dad just never pulled off. Like, this is that kind of thing, like like you said, finding the Simpsons or Family Guy again or something.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't want either of those shows quite.
Right.
Well, hopefully this one takes a couple seasons and then ends at a point where it's the time period is, because as far as comedies go, you got a certain time period where the exact state is irrelevant. Like I bet you if I watch Don't Look Up 10 years from now, I bet you I'll laugh. I bet you it'll be funny. Not today though.
You won't be able to watch it in 10 years.
Hopefully I'll be able to watch it in 10 years.
I'm hoping that Inside Job does what Gravity Falls did, and like this is their start out weird, and then we end up with their like pyramid god.
Oh, where their last episodes were called Weird Mageddon Part 1 and 2.
Right. Like I want to see where Inside Job goes off the rails. Like I'm looking forward to whatever this show's heading towards, given the creative team and everything. Yeah, absolutely wonderful new discovery this year for me.
Let's jump to number 7, and that is the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Mostly, I think, brought about because of real-life events involving the police. The fucking cops ruined everything, including Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Well, this is the season where they were like, "Okay, we got to wrap this up. This isn't."
It was the fuck the police season. It was
only
just like
department defunded in the whole fucking country is the 9-9.
Yes, the only one that was actually working. Because it was fictional.
Defund the police. We didn't mean the fake ones.
No, the fake ones are fine.
Yeah. The Game of Boils episode was amazing. The wedding with all of that. I felt like, though it was the greatest hits of like what do we got to do for a final season? I mean, it felt like a tour through all the shit they had to do. It's still, they did great with it.
Yeah, it's a great final season.
This final season, and after watching so many things shit the bed on their final season recently, it's been like, oh well, thank God. This I should have trusted them with the how The Good Place ended and how I love that, but I was still a little nervous about it. And this is a way to like a masterclass of how to end storylines in a satisfying way. As far as they know their big thing is the heist, they end the last episode on the heist, and make it go into the future like, oh, there's always going to be heist in this universe. These characters will always be together on some level. They're a crew.
You're still going to watch it.
And that feels good.
It's going to make the COVID variant lockdown in 2024 when they do a special reunion episode. It's going to make it so
It's going to make it way better, yeah.
And then they make you care about things you didn't know you were super invested, like Kevin and Captain Holt's relationship.
Yeah.
I knew I was invested in that.
Something was missing inside me when I realized they weren't together, and I was like, that's not right. You better fix this by the end of this season, I swear to God.
They did a great final Doug Judy episode.
Yeah.
Oh, where they say goodbye. Oh, that's so great.
Yep.
And it's the start of Jake like really not being a cop anymore.
Yeah, and also not being
growing up.
He's grown up. I mean, not in a way that's not fun because he still pulls the last heist. Of course he does. But like him and Amy being parents could have been dead story time. That could have been bad. But in fact, it works really well. Like they managed to make it like, oh, watching Jake and Amy be parents, it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only storyline I thought that didn't really go anywhere was Rosa as a private detective.
I actually liked that because I liked the idea that Rosa would be the one who like, fuck this, I can't do this.
Sure, I get that too, but they should have really
I
had
just wanted to do more with it.
her do something that really affect, like if she joined IA or some sort of policeman better organization, because I'm like, you're not really doing anything. You're not having
Yeah.
your effect is so minimal, if at all. And she's said it's like, oh, most of my work is pro bono. Do you mean all of it? How are you getting paid? this it
Yeah.
just didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I don't know, like I liked how her like Pimento came in the last episode and she got over on Amy of like, aha, you thought I was gonna be some sort of family thing or something. That was cute. But as far as her like quitting the 9-9, I thought that would have been, they didn't really resolve Jake and her like having a trouble. Like, if you think the system is a problem, then you think I'm a problem, I guess. I guess he's not a cop anymore, but
I mean, the thing is, there isn't an easy answer to that, I think, and that's kind of why they stay away from it, because it is ultimately
Yeah.
still a comedy. Like
right.
you can't have Rosa work in IA and bringing down people that she knows without it becoming a lot darker than you want 9-9 to be.
I think you could do that in a funny way. I think there's I just
I
think they're
really
scared
don't.
of portraying IA because no media has ever portrayed IA as nothing but fucking douchebags that are out to get good cops.
The Rat
IA
Squad.
IA still cops. I don't know that I trust them either. I don't know. I feel like having her be a PI and be like, basically she wasn't like, I'm gonna fix the police. She was like, I'm just gonna stop being part of the problem. And like that makes sense for Rosa.
No, they leave it to like Amy and Holt to somehow be fixing the police.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, I guess she wasn't in a position with that as the beat cop as well, but I don't know. It also made it hard for them to, they had to work her into all the stories again for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Like there was like, oh, why did we bring Rosa in on this when really that was a thing we didn't have to make that complicated, I don't think. But it was the only one, and it's not like it doesn't like it does like it's completely shitty, like I can't watch it. Like it just didn't land at the end for me.
All right, let's number 6 is The Great over on Hulu, which I think is weird because it is in our top 10, but I don't think Les or I have finished watching it.
Well, yeah, and so it didn't make my list because I haven't finished watching season 2.
But
Because I've been
it
taking it slow on that.
but it was high on my list because I loved it and I wasn't as wild as about season 1.
Guys, you got to really finish that last episode. I really want to talk about it.
No.
And it was high on Nick's list because Nick fell in love with it completely this year.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know it was the same as Mythic Quest for me, that I got to watch it all right away. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this
Yeah.
is so great. Nicholas Hoult, this is the role of his career.
Oh man, he's so good. Because
Yeah.
he's so terrible, and yet you still like him.
There's nothing he can do to make me not
He
like
just
him.
gets better and better at being Peter.
He's done
Yeah.
everything on this show. He's killed people. He's killed
Yes.
animals. I think
Yes.
he's killed a child at some point.
I'm almost sure of it.
Or was that his mom? But even like her, and even show she killed a fucking kid.
His aunt killed
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I can't not like you, you son of a
Yep.
bitch.
And also, in the same way, Elle Fanning, she is so clearly out of her depth in some places, but she also so clearly wants to do the right thing and is smarter than almost everyone around her, that you love her, even though you're like, oh shit, don't do that.
Right. Well, that whole free the serfs things, you guys got to that episode,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if Les got
Yeah, good.
Well, like she just decides, like, rather than a slow process of introducing freedom and eliminating servitude over the course of maybe a decade or so, she
She's
up
just
and
gonna do it.
decides, hey, tomorrow you're free. And I'm like, oh, don't do that. That
there.
is
That does not go well.
that doesn't go great.
Back in season 1, when Peter's poisoned and they think he's gonna die, that's
Yeah.
like the first thing she says in front of all of the assembled noblemen or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it makes the room just like, what? Like one of them steps forward and is like, you're gonna collapse our economic system in one move.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that in season 2 she just stepped forward and like do it.
Yeah, and then she's
Yep,
gotta
yep.
like she's gotta walk that back, and she feels bad about it. But I'm like, that's a reality of rulership. Of like, it sounds like a good idea, but in reality, it's gonna get a lot of people killed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turning the ship of state is slow.
Yeah, so you gotta put the work in. Like she wants everything to change right away.
Yeah.
No, I get it, but
But-
this stuff, like a lot of this, is gonna take time. Russia is a fucked up place, man. They just do weird shit for no reason. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a fantastic season 2, and it's definitely one of the best shows on That brings us, guys, to our top 5. And let's start with number 5. Let's start with our big cheater pick. So, in doing our top 20 or whatever the year, I was like, hey, guys, in order to get more picks, I rolled all the Disney MCU shows into one pick.
Sure.
And y'all went with it, which I'm so happy about.
Well, what was the other alternative to have half the list be Marvel
Disney?
shit?
Yeah, and it would have been like a bunch of their shit would have made the list. Because this was the inaugural year for Disney shows. There were 5 of them, and not one of them was bad.
No, they were all good.
You can argue
I don't know
about
that they would have all made my top 5.
There were some weak points, I think, in WandaVision and even Winter Soldier because of COVID shooting stuff.
Yeah,
and that sort of thing.
And I think What If has some weak spots in it too.
Well, What If is a completely different monster as far as just throwing shit at the wall, and
yeah, but all of them are good, and some of them are like Hawkeye. I thought was damn near perfect.
Hawkeye and Loki are the only ones I've rewatched so far, I think. So
yeah, and Loki was wild and fun and did some crazy shit and was also just like funny and clever and had a little bit of angst. Like this is basically they took all the stuff that I usually get out of the Marvel Universe movies this year. This year instead I got some sort of serviceable action from Shang-Chi and the Eternals.
Yeah.
And so all my MCU feels and my love of the MCU came to TV this year. And I was just thrilled by some of the characters that showed up. I thought the moving forward, the universe post Endgame was done really well here. They're setting up a lot. They're setting up a lot. Like they're clearly setting up for Young Avengers.
Oh yeah, Thunderbolts is definitely happening.
And Thunderbolts, like there's a bunch of stuff being set up here. New characters being introduced, old characters being used really well. The action is good. Like this also, I think we all had a little bit of fear, maybe not a lot, but a little bit that. Well, Marvel TV has been Netflix and Hulu, and even if you like the Daredevil stuff and all that stuff, even if you somehow liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think you have to admit that it's not of the level of the MCU movies. And the TV stuff they did on Disney Plus was of the level of the movies.
Well, all that TV stuff was under Jeff Loeb and a bunch of other people that Kevin Feige had no... Like, there was a divide. No one shared anything between those two camps.
Yeah.
It was like a Cold War of fucking storylines, because, yeah, the TV stuff would take whatever it wanted from the MCU, and run with it, but the MCU treated like, what TV series? What are you talking about? They pretended it just didn't happen. And, yeah, when you have the same production teams and the same stunt team and the same cinematographers do a TV show, guess what? It kind of looks like the movies.
Yeah.
Shockingly enough. And it doesn't feel too differently because we've all been trained in serialized storytelling for the last decade and a half. So we're basically, MCU is one long TV show anyway. This is just the next logical step as far as just expanding some of these out.
Yeah. I'm curious what y'all's quick ranking is of the 5, where you rank them.
Loki, Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, What If, WandaVision.
And I go Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision, What If.
I go Loki, What If, Falcon, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Jones, Daredevil, Cage, Fist, Defenders. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Cloak and Dagger is above Fist.
I totally forgot there was a Cloak and Dagger show. I admit, I totally forgot that happened.
AOS and Runaways.
What about MODOK? Les, you missed MODOK.
Oh, I forgot MODOK. Yes.
That's the only thing I think I actually miss. I was like, oh, that was pretty fun.
And
Cloak and Dagger would be after Daredevil, and MODOK would be after Cage.
Anyway, very different listings for all of us, but we all enjoyed these, and they definitely rank on the top 5 in the number 5 spot, pretty easily, I think. Number 4, Hulu's original Only Murders in the Building, which brought Steve Martin and Martin Short and Nathan Lane to television.
Yeah, the only sin this show committed for me was not using Charisse from High Fidelity more.
Yeah,
she's the cop, and I know that woman is hysterical and needs to be on the show more. But it's the only thing they did wrong. I think
the impressive part of this is that
I'm still mad at Hulu about High Fidelity.
Well, I think the impressive part about this show was that it also could have been self-indulgent about, oh, we're doing a murder podcast that's called Murderers or Murder in the Building, and how cute are we that we're self-referential about it. But all that was actually really funny and well thought out as far as how they got popular, their fucking how
their weird fans outside.
The weird fans.
Tina Fey's successful murder podcast company.
Yes. Yeah.
Like stealing it from them basically. And how good is Selena Gomez? I had no fucking
She's
clue.
so good. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
She's holding her own with fucking Martin Short and Steve Martin, so it's like, damn,
Yeah.
this is a great trio.
Also, Amy Ryan is great in this too.
Oh yes.
And they kept me guessing. I kept thinking that, oh, that's the murderer. Oh, it's not. And they showed me who it was very early on. Like when you look at it later, like, of course she was. I mean, she's a big name actress, and what's she doing here?
Yeah. I knew it was the bassoon player. The bassoon players are evil. That's an evil instrument.
Double read. Why you need a second read?
For murder.
For murder. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, I love this. I would have been happy if they'd wrapped it all, but they left us with the season. They're doing a season 2.
I'm excited.
I'm so
excited.
happy. Yeah.
I thought the sequel grab thing was gonna bug me because I'm like, what a great way to wrap this series up, because I loved the ending, but then when they got me again, I was like, fuck, I really want to see what these idiots do.
Yep. And they set us up at the
beginning.
beginning. They set us up because I forgot that hook entirely.
Same. When it started to happen, I was like, God damn it, this is hanging out there. This is what's about to happen. Oh shit. This feels like Knives Out or something like that. Like finding an Agatha Christie I didn't know about or something. It was just wonderful. Can't wait for another one.
Yeah. Number 3 on the list. This was surprising to me. Sex Lives of College Girls. This made my top 20, but just barely. But Les, this was your number 1.
Yeah. I expected nothing from this show. Didn't know a fucking thing about it.
It was high up there for me too. I don't remember what it was, but it was high.
And this show's hilarious and handles its themes well. It harkens back to Freaks and Geeks or shit. I'm blanking on the college one that they did right after one.
Undeclared.
Like it harkens back to that kind of show, and is so well done. Like Mindy Kaling's always great. There's a reason she's got ongoing deals everywhere. But to me, this hit it out of the park. I connected with this at the same level you did. Never Have I Ever. Right? Is that the one?
Yeah. I get that, and it's similar to that too. It's got a vibe that's similar to that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely Kaling on both shows, but yeah, it just every once in a while a sitcom hits all the weird sweet spots to make shit funny for you specifically, and this one just felt like about the time that the main rich girl that doesn't want to hang out with any of her roommates turns around and screams, "I'm thriving!" and throws a fucking 40 at one of the statues. And I was like, okay, fist in the air. This show's fucking amazing. I'm watching all of it right now.
You're living a lie. I know that. You think I don't know that?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever wanted like 10 gifts out of a show so quickly. Like it hit me like Letterkenny did. I mean, obviously very different and structure and everything, but that same level of like, I love this. I love everything about this.
It's also the only HBO show anywhere on our top 13. I don't know if any of us else had HBO shows.
I had Hacks on It's 14.
I'm just saying, HBO Max is the most expensive streaming service. It is more expensive than any other streaming service, and it provides less good content than any of them.
And its reputation is for prestige television, which is weird. But I think they mixed that with boring a lot. So
I think so too. Or maybe we're just dumbasses and we don't like.
Well, the one we liked is Hacks, the funny one. So
yeah, that's true.
I also had I had 2 other. I mean, I had Mare and White Lotus.
That's true.
Is anyone really watching Ballers, or are they just scared to cancel a rock show?
No one is watching Ballers. Kyle is watching Ballers. If Kyle was on here, Ballers would be on our list.
That's not really a show. That's like Cops, but they're just following the Rock
like,
around.
It should have been canceled like 3 seasons ago, but they can't. No one can go up to the Rock and tell him can't do it anymore.
Wait, is Ballers still going?
Like Office Space, and they're just like, it's a payroll error. They're just still cutting on
Do I look like a
Ballers
person
a
that
budget
knows
check.
if Ballers is still going? I don't
Somebody
know.
message Kyle. He'll know.
No one in the HBO offices is willing to admit that they've not watched it. And so
All right, our number 2 show, What We Do in the Shadows. So this is a Hulu original, I think, right? Or is it FX? This is FX on Hulu,
FX,
isn't it?
yeah.
Season 3. This show gets better and better as it goes along, and I love season.
I can't believe nobody told me about it. None of you mentioned it. Not a fucking time. We talk
Shut
about
up,
television
Les.
every week. It's the same as 9-9, just held back on me.
Does your audacity know no bounds, you scoundrel?
I watched all 3 seasons both seasons to catch up, and then season 3 as it went this year. This was my Mythic Quest or The Great for Nick, where I got to just like find this show after having enjoyed the movie years back. Holy shit! What an amazingly flawless show.
Yeah, and they bring in Donald Logue, which of course I loved.
As himself.
Oh
god, it's so good.
Well, the idea of them being in charge this season,
yes, man,
is so good. It gives us a whole new way for them to be incompetent and just be the worst at what they do. And really, Guillermo is necessary. Like, I know it's an abusive relationship, but without him, they'd all die.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
they wouldn't make
They
it a
almost
week
proved
without
that.
him.
Well, and I love this season. Guillermo has a bit of a confidence boost where it used to be Guillermo was the guy, just the sad sack, and now we're seeing him, and he's the guy always looking at the camera like, "You believe this shit."
Well, when the last thing where he has that argument with Nander, he says, "No, you're alive because I allow it."
Yeah,
and it was like a whole thing, like, oh shit, it's gonna go down. And yeah, the Colin Robinson's whole arc, as far as his his fucking ancestry and all that shit. Yeah, I loved it. I love the whole, like, they can't decide, so there's 2 fucking presidents of the of the
And
council.
Kristen Schaal trying to help them as their guy.
Yes. Oh,
and
man.
then the originator vampire, and then they find the because they it's like, well, we know that you can't get killed when your maker gets killed because we killed the other in the first season, remember? And then they all kind of like look at each other like, well, maybe, and then just dig up that dude in the backyard.
Yep.
When he gets the little I can't think what the little cars are called for kids. The Power
little
Wheel
Tonka
or whatever
truck
shit it is.
car.
Yeah.
Yep.
And is driving it around in the store. Oh my god. Just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm doing it all by myself.
Yeah, another just fantastic season. All right, number 1. If you're listening to this, you've probably already guessed it. We danced around a little bit earlier, and that show is, as always, Ted Lasso over on Apple Plus, which had a sophomore season that started off with, I think we were all a little worried because they fucking killed the dog.
What
R.I.P.
a
Earl.
fucking arrogant move.
Yeah.
Seriously, it felt like such a flex of like, we have you so much, watch this.
Watch this. Yep. We're gonna have your favorite character who is a puppy kill a dog.
What's fucked up about it is that it worked.
It works. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
the whole arc of it shaking Danny's confidence and then they bring it back around with like Jamie's growth arcs into it. It's just amazing. So that they finish on the same. I mean, watching the finale with Fanny, and she was like, I looked over, was like, do you remember the last time he kicked it? And she stopped and was like, God damn it, I forgot.
Yeah.
Like,
and, and Jamie thinking outside of himself and realizing that he needs it, like, that was a huge moment because Jamie never thinks of anybody else.
Dude, Jamie's slow metamorphosis throughout this show is very unbelievably well handled and well written. As far as the character remaining the same character, it's not like he's totally different. He's still
he's the same guy.
He's still the same guy, but he's growing, and it feels like he just needed a chance to grow.
Yep.
And he took it, and that feels like it's like like an inspiring kind of story of like some people just need the right circumstances to be the better versions of themselves.
And some people, no matter how much space you give them to grow, are shitty people.
And that's what the Nate storyline is, as far as it's the flip side too. Some people are bullies without power. And bullies without power are just aren't bullies just because they can't be. So I thought that both those really I think Nate is much more of a douchebag than Jamie ever was.
Yeah,
Ever
he
was.
just didn't have the ability. Yeah,
Because Jamie was kind of just dumb.
yeah.
And I think we all did what the characters on the show did the entire season, which was think, well, that was a little much for Nate, but not.
It took a lot to break us of really accepting what a douchebag he was becoming.
Because you're like, oh no, Nate's a nice guy. He would never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is he being a nice guy? Like, maybe he hasn't been in a minute.
When you know somebody, especially if you a abusive relationship or something, and you wait, no, I know that guy, he's nice, but you don't know what that relationship is like, and you're basing it off of your interactions with him and nothing else.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, that and the whole Sam and
Sam and Rebecca.
Rebecca, wow, that was awesome. Again, didn't expect it. They pulled the wool out from under me again, and it was great.
And another ambition, man, pulling that the age difference between them, the power differential between them. There are so many reasons that doesn't work, and they made it work.
Yeah. And
the
Sam's
Christmas special this year,
the Christmas special's delightful. Yeah, and I liked the weird coach episode too.
Oh yeah, well. Remember when we were blown away, the Christmas episode, this is the best episode of the show, and then the next one was the rom-com episode, and we're like, no, this is the best episode of the show.
And then they rickrolled a goddamn funeral.
Yeah, then they rickrolled us. Yes.
Yeah. This whole season was just a flex that they kept making it work. I love it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for I know they had a plan of 3 seasons, so I really can't wait for what they've got in store.
It really feels like a dare, in the writer's room is like, all right, $20 if you can make people cry during a Rickroll song. Done.
Right. And Trent Krim, who is now an independent.
An independent.
Yeah.
My dad made the same joke. He sounds like a great guy.
Oh, so apparently Jason Sudeikis doesn't want the fans to worry about a 4th season just yet. It says, and then there's a story on November 23rd that says season 3 will not be the final season.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever their thing is, whatever their plan is, that's the amount of seasons I want. I don't want any more than that.
Yep.
No. Don't pressure them to run this out fucking 20 years.
Don't
let
this become Dexter or some shit where there's different writers on or a showrunner that they switch off. Just do your things, tell your story, and then it's done.
That said, if Ted, after the inevitable win, decides that he has to go to Canada and be a lumberjack, I would watch that show.
Also would, yeah. Oh, but a spin-off show with just Coach Beard.
Yes.
If you had a Coach Beard show, it would be different than this one, too.
For that matter, a Roy Kent and Keeley show. I'd watch that, too.
Yeah, I would absolutely watch a Roy and Keeley.
Oh, Roy Kent just being the best human that I think I've ever met.
I love Roy Kent. Yeah.
While being an unbelievably grumpy asshole. But he's so adorable, he's like if a teddy bear keeps getting mad. Yeah. I know you're so furious, but also it's adorable and I want to hug you so much.
Well, that is our top 13 for the year. A pretty solid year for TV. We'll be back next year with who knows what all you're talking about, but I know Book of Boba Fett, Letterkenny's on there. If you want to get a little more TV Dudes for the new year, you can go over to patreon.com/TV Dudes. If you are a patron, you can listen to our Matrix Resurrections story. If you want to close out the year by listening to me and Nick shit all over a big budget HBO movie. And thank you, Nick. Thank you, Les.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, dudes.
Thank you for a year of doing this. Hope we get to do lots more in the new year. And thank you as always to our patrons and to our listeners. We really appreciate you guys listening to us week in, week out, and giving us feedback sometimes. A special shout out to my friend Mandy, who sometimes live tweets our show to me. She's listening to it, which is great. And We'll be back next year with more. Until that time,
TV Dudes out.
TV is life!
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.